Hello, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is I've Got Guts, a podcast about living and thriving with chronic illness. Let's be real, it is really hard.
But it doesn't have to be. You are not alone.
With this podcast, we want to create a community and a space to be able to talk about the tough stuff
And laugh along the way.
The idea for this podcast stemmed from us trying to find one for ourselves to listen to, but not being able to find anything that didn't make us more sad or frustrated.
Our goal is to talk about the hard stuff, but also talk about how to get through it, be positive, have a full and productive life, and of course, thrive.
But before we get started, just so we are clear, we are not medical professionals. We are just here sharing our personal experiences. Hello, everyone, and welcome back.
Yes, welcome back and happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Not that all Mondays are happy, but we're getting closer to the end of school year, so Mondays are getting progressively happier for us.
Summer's on the horizon, and our smiles are getting bigger and bigger.
That's right. What are we at? Like, it's 17 days, 18 days?
17 days as of today. I did the paper chain in my classroom.
Right.
One of my students made it, and every day we have the ceremonial cutting of the one of the chains. What are we? Chains.
Yeah, paper chains.
Paper chain. One of the chains. So, all right, let's get into thorns and roses.
All right. What are we starting with today?
Want to do thorns?
Let's get them out of the way.
All right. Yeah. I can go first.
Yeah, what's your thorn?
I don't know
about my thorn. I know about your thorn.
Mine is a plumbing issue.
Oh,
so yes, not in the toilet realm though.
Okay, thankfully. Last time it was a toilet realm. So
when I was hosing off my plunger in the driveway. No, we're in a different direction. So everybody's coming into town this weekend for Connor's birthday, and a lot of family members are staying overnight.
Right.
And we have a extra bathroom with a shower in it. But the last time my brother-in-law Scott was here, he was like, something's not right with that shower. So I knew we never use it,
Right,
so then it just dawned on me like 3 days ago. I'm like, oh my goodness, the shower. We never had a plumber come.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me take a shower in there. So I went in, took a shower to see what was going on. And it was like pouring out of the bottom while it was coming out of the top, and then the drains filling up. Not the most pleasant experience when you have about 10 people staying at your house this weekend.
Yeah, no.
So I kind of Googled it, and I said something to Sean about it. Now, a couple years ago at our old house, Sean fixed our kitchen sink at Dorrington.
I do remember this.
It was a little touch and go and a lot of anger. And actually, Scott, my brother-in-law, witnessed the anger Sean had while he was fixing the kitchen sink. And it was really, really, he had to FaceTime Jeff, our friend.
Yeah.
And he got it done. So that was his first plumbing experience. So this is amazing. This is my thorn because it wasn't working. But then he came home from Lowe's with the right part.
What?
Didn't even prompt him. Did it all on his own. And he fixed it. And he comes outside and he's like, babe, I fixed it. I'm like, what? I'm so proud of you.
You did something independently.
I'm like, you did it. You're a plumber now. He's like, well, I just took out the diverter thing and put the other one on. And it really works.
Wow.
And I'm so proud of him. So my thorn, which I was thinking we were going to have to get a plumber before everybody comes.
Right.
He probably saved us a couple $100.
Oh, at least.
Yes, yeah. And then I texted Scott. I'm like, you'd be really proud of Sean the plumber. He's really evolved since his last kitchen experience.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad he fixed it.
Yeah. So, hey, if you ever need any small minimal help with any plumbing, Sean may be a consult for you, or maybe not yet.
Yeah, I was like, let's just stick to home projects for now.
So that was my thorn that turned into a rose.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
What was your thorn?
So my thorn is from our last episode. We were talking about the thyroid thing. And remember, I was saying to everyone I was a little frustrated because when they did the ultrasound on my thyroid, they didn't run those 2 blood tests that you need to just see if you have Hashimoto's.
Right.
So I emailed my hematologist because I'm like blood doctor, right? So the hematologist is like, oh, this is something your primary handles. So I was like, okay. So I email my primary, and my primary is like, oh, we don't deal with this. I'll refer you to endocrinology. There isn't an endocrinologist appointment for like another year.
What?
Yeah. And she goes, also, it does take a while for these levels to regulate themselves, just so you know. I was like, okay.
Okay, so is she just like giving you the brush off here?
Basically. So now I just have to like sit on it and wait for an endocrinology appointment to pop up.
Oh my goodness. An endocrinologist deals with
thyroid issues, stuff like that.
Okay.
I was like, it's like the pass off is crazy to me. Like you go to the blood doctor who should be able to run a simple blood test. And then they're like, oh, go to primary, who should also be able to run a simple blood test. And they're like, oh, you have to go to this other doctor. It's like so annoying. More and more that I run into these issues, I would love to be able to afford a holistic doctor who's just like, let's look at everything all at once.
Yeah. Let's just look at the whole big puzzle instead of throwing all the pieces around like a wild man.
Yeah. So no update, and probably won't be an update for a while. I'm just, right now, the fertility clinic is the only place managing my thyroid, which
is crazy town to me. And it's just, isn't it just a simple blood test? Like, why can't she just run it?
Exactly.
And then let's say if it is whatever, then you go to the endocrinologist, right? But
I sent her, I had ChatGPT. I popped all my numbers in and I said, please make a chart of this. I even had them include in the chart where like my medicine dosing changed. And I sent that chart right to each doctor. Like, look how crazy these changes were.
And they're...
go to endocrinology.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for nothing.
For all your help.
Yeah, seriously.
Lovely.
Oh, okay. Well, good thing we got those thorns out of the way. Let's move on to those roses. What is your rose?
Well, my rose is that Connor is turning 10 in 2 days.
I can't believe it.
10 years old. Two whole hands.
A picture popped up on my time hop 2 days ago of like the day you decided to have a glass of red wine because you were like, get out of me, child.
Yes, because I was, if anyone didn't know my birthing story, I was 10 days late.
Yep.
They gave me the due date of May 24th, and Connor graced us with his presence on June 5th.
Yeah.
Yep. And I did all the things, the wine. The last thing was the wine when she really gave me the go ahead.
Yeah. She was like, have a glass of wine. And you were like, come over. We're having wine. I was like, say no less.
I'm like, a whole glass? I had like 4 sips and I was drunk.
I know. It was pretty funny. Oh my gosh. I remember that. And you know what's crazy is I remember that night like it was yesterday. And then I was literally washing my face before. And I was like, in 10 more years, Connor's going to be 20.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I would do with that. I can't make my mind go there yet. Time, slow down, please.
It's just crazy.
It is crazy. But yeah, my little man's turning 10 and we're heading into a really fun, busy weekend. Lots of celebrating. So
yeah, I'm excited.
That is my rose. So stay tuned for all the after party goodness.
Yeah, even our moms are excited. I talked to my mom today and she's like, I texted Lauren's mom to tell her I was so excited I was seeing her. And she said, oh my God, I was going to text you the same thing.
Connor bringing everyone together. And here, I feel like Connor's birthday ends up just being a big wild bash because
every year
it is. It's like the O'Reillys, there's so many of them and we love them all. And Connor loves them all. Like he would not have it if Aunt Patricia or Erin or Claire, Bridget, anyone was missing.
Yeah.
And because they weren't invited, he wouldn't even be able to handle it. So we always throw a rager. And I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, Lauren, you have like 55 people. But you know what? It brings us joy. Yeah. It brings us all together. It happens once a year. And
something to look forward to every year.
And I love hosting. It brings me joy.
Yeah.
It does. So that was my rose. What's yours, Rome? I feel like yours saved the best for last.
I have an IVF update. So we had our egg retrieval last week and we got 11 eggs. So
lucky 11.
10 more than last time. And then the next day we got the call that we have 6 definite M babies with a 7th that might potentially grow into an M baby. So
this is amazing news. 7-Eleven.
That's right. We were just beside ourselves when the nurse called and she's like, you have 6 eggs that fertilized and 1 that's maybe going to catch up. I cried like happy tears and we were just, like hugging each other like, oh my God, compared to last time, last time we only had 1 and that 1 did fertilize, but 6 to 7, oh my gosh.
Your ratio, I feel like increases your belief even more because you just have so many to work with this time.
And I know I told everybody the last episode we were hoping to do a fresh transfer, but my lining wasn't thick enough and that's okay. Actually, we'll tackle that a little further into this episode.
Okay, I love that. I love it. All the good things.
Yeah, that's right.
Kicking it off with a lot of embryos. So exciting. So exciting. All right, well, let's get into it today.
Let's do it. So today we are diving deep into something that's just as important as what you eat or how you move, your mindset. Living with chronic illness can feel like a roller coaster, but we've both learned that the way you think about what you're going through can truly shift things.
It sure can. I could not agree more. It really can shift things, and mindset is something that is often overlooked when managing chronic illness. And, it's not just thinking positively, but it's cultivating the kind of inner strength, trust, and grounding that can carry you through even the hardest chapters. So today, I'm so excited. She's like my idol, I feel like. So today, we're going to highlight a person who's had a huge impact on my own mindset journey, the incredible Gabby Bernstein. Her books, her meditation, her challenges, they have helped me shift from fear and frustration to hope and healing time and time again.
And for me, it's been a more recent discovery. This past year, as I've been navigating the emotional highs and lows of IVF, I felt this deep pull for something more peace, more trust, more connection to something bigger than myself. And that's when I really started diving into Gabby's work, and I just fell in love. Her way of bringing spirituality into everyday life, especially when things feel overwhelming, has been very healing for me. She helps me come back to my breath, my body, and my belief that I'm being guided even when the path isn't clear. We are excited to open up to all of you about how mindset, and specifically Gabby Bernstein's work, has supported us through chronic illness, fertility challenges, and everyday life. Whether you're brand new to her or know her work well, we hope this conversation reminds you that healing is just as much about your spirit as it is your symptoms.
I love it. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to start with a quote from one of Gabby's books.
Love a good quote.
And she is like a New York Times bestseller author, and she has a lot of books, but this quote is from one of her more recent books called Happy Days. And the quote says, "Your wound is not your weakness. It's your way to rise up and serve others." And that is exactly why we started this podcast, to help and serve all of you out there listening. And we're so happy you are here with us.
We sure are. Okay, Room. So you got the idea to highlight Gabby and her work today because of something that happened at work. Could you fill us in?
Yes. This was just last week. I had a conversation with a coworker who was part of our union. And I'm at a point where it is time to go through my medical expenses and weigh my options about what health insurance plan I will go with. Am I going to stay where I am, or am I going to move to a different plan? And he is helping me just kind of look at the numbers and make sure I'm making the right decision.
Yeah.
And so I'm literally showing him a printout.
I love that you did this.
From Excelis with all of my procedures, surgeries, tests, hospital stays, from the last year. You would die if I showed you the total amount
I can imagine.
On these bills. And, we were looking at the allowable amount, is what they can allow and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking to move to would I go to a high deductible or not? So all of these numbers really matter. And I'm, first of all, being grateful for my health insurance is an understatement.
Yeah.
I am so, so grateful for the health insurance that I have with my school district. So anyway, we're talking it out. His eyes are like, wow, these are a lot of expenses. This happened to you all year. Like on paper, I go through it. But when someone looks at it, they're like, wow, you got a lot going on.
And this isn't a one-off. This happens every year.
Yes, exactly. And it's just, you just never know what you're going to get from each year. So right as I was leaving our meeting, he goes, "Lauren, I really admire what a positive and optimistic view you have on life, especially with all you have going on medically. I know if that was me, I would not be able to stay that positive." And, it had me thinking, he is not the first person to say this to me. I literally get it all the time.
And
I know
and
you
for
do
years,
too.
You have been getting this.
Yes,
though.
I have. You were getting it more recently.
Yes.
But literally years. I swear people say this to me like once a week. So after he said that, I responded back with, it's all the work I have done on my mindset over the years. And if I didn't make that shift to work on myself, I probably would be a puddle on the floor. I choose love over fear every time, and I decide how I live my life. And I think that's why I love and devour personal development books so much. I
never thought you would say, 10 years ago, I would have been like, Room would never read a personal development book.
No, I was reading trashy romance novels. But, I think living with multiple autoimmune diseases, it can sometimes feel so out of control. And, will I be nauseous? Will my esophagus get a clog? Why do I not feel well right now? Will the surgery that I'm looking at having work? Is the surgery the right decision? Will my stomach have an explosion at the wrong time? And I find myself pretending I'm at a quilt show to use their bathroom. So many fears, worries, and questions just swirling around in my head. So I know so many of you out there listening have chronic diseases, and you live in this unknown fear-based space too. And, how can you not go there, right? It can be scary at times. Yep. I know you've gone there so many times.
Yep, so many times.
But I think the one thing I know I can control, because I may be a slightly controlling person, just slightly, ask my husband. The one thing I can control is my mindset and how I respond to what is happening to me. And that never fails to empower me. And, honestly, I don't know if I would have gone down the personal development route if it wasn't for my first business 9 years ago. I was told, to find success, it was imperative to work on my mindset. And anyone listening who is in sales, that's true. It's tough when you do sales.
Absolutely.
It really is. And I actually was at my first convention when it was a business convention, when a friend handed me a book, The Universe Has Your Back, by Gabby Bernstein, and it was 2016. I was a year into running my business at that point, and things were going really, really well. And I was loving this new phase of my life. And I read a lot of personal development books throughout that first year, but they were all more geared towards business, strategies, with some mindset stuff sprinkled in. But this book, The Universe Has Your Back, was a shift into the spiritual world, which wasn't really something I was into reading, Rome.
Yeah.
But I was curious. And you know me. I'm open to give it a whirl. Yep. I will give it a try. I will see how it goes.
You were quite the hard worker back in those days. Yeah. You were nose to the grind with that first business.
I was. And I learned so much. I grew so much. I earned a lot of money for my family. It was amazing. And I think I am who I am today because of all of that. Yeah. But I also learned a lot, work smarter, not always harder.
Exactly.
So looking back and thinking, just how much Gabby's teachings ended up resonating so much for me. And over the years, especially as my health challenges unfolded, they became a lifeline. Her meditations, her perspective shifts, her way of speaking to the fear inside of you, it has been such a powerful guide for me. And I want to highlight today for all of you some tools that I use most often. Now, Rome, did you know about these tools yet?
Let's see. As you say them, I'm going to be like, yes, I'm doing that. Okay. Or no, I haven't done that yet.
Yes, because I realized, some of the tools I took are books that maybe you did not read yet, because I know you're just getting into some of it. So the first tip comes from her book called Super Attractor, and it's all about how you start your day. So I begin my day in alignment. Well, most days I do. I try. If Connor isn't busting in saying he had a nightmare, or Kenzie is crying because there's a thunderstorm, or she's having a bathroom emergency, or those worst wake-up calls in the morning, or even in the middle of the night, hearing the beginning of Kenzie or Rena throwing up, dog.
Or a cat.
I don't know how the cats are.
Yeah, you hear it from a mile away.
Yeah, the sound of a dog about to vomit, nothing gets me out of bed faster. Yeah, I am on fire. I'm trying to remove her from the carpet. But so, yes, of course, are every morning's perfect? No. But on the good, quiet mornings, I open my eyes and I choose. Gabby talks about the choices we have, and you can align your energy with meditation, prayer, affirmations, exercise, whatever works for you, whatever resonates with you.
Right.
Or you can pick up your phone, turn on the news, scroll social media, gulp down a cup of coffee, and start rushing around. And I used to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Right?
It's not a good way to start your day.
It's not. But, your phone's right there, and your phone is your alarm, right? So sometimes it's just that habit and that almost that addiction that, so many of us have. But on the days I choose the second option, it is that rough morning, to say the least. And it's so important that we change our morning habits, or at least look at our morning habits.
Yep.
The morning is a sacred time, and it should be cherished. And it's when you choose how you want the day to unfold. So this little shift in behavior can literally redirect your entire day, especially when you wake up feeling pain, which so many of us with chronic diseases do.
So I do this one.
Okay.
But I didn't know it was a thing until you just said it now. Like I told Anthony my mornings are sacred to me, and I have this little routine I follow, and I have to be in silence, and I just like have my routines, and I know that if I start my day off in that silence and in that peace, my day will be easy, usually.
Right. Yeah, because you're setting the tone, right? Versus like responding to something on your phone, a text message, an email, and then before you know it, you're like, I'm running late, and it's just, that doesn't feel good. So for me, during the work week, I usually wake up and I do my morning meditation and say some morning affirmations that I got from Gabby. And if I don't snooze too much, which, you know what? I know there's a lot of controversy around snoozing. I just love it. Brings me joy. I like a good snooze.
I'm not a snoozer anymore. You'd be so proud of me.
Really?
One alarm, up out of bed.
No, I just I like to look at the clock and snooze. And then I like to look out my window and see the sunshine. And then I like to get into my thing. And then I fall asleep. I don't know. I'm a fun snoozer.
A fun snoozer. Okay.
So if I don't snooze too much, I'll do some journaling, and then I, of course, hydrate with lots of water, sometimes hot lemon water to stimulate the old digestive tract. Do you ever do that in the morning, Ron?
No, it's not.
That's not for you.
Water's hard for me, so to start my day off with it, not great.
Yes, yeah, For me, it's just feels good, gets things moving.
Anthony starts his day off that way.
Yeah. So you just need to hydrate, and then I'll do a shot of olive oil. Of course, my hydroxytyrosol too. And if it's not a school day, I'll go for a morning run because that clears my mind and helps me really set the tone for my day. And honestly, having a motility disease like echolalia, I often wake up in the morning with so much pressure in my chest because Rome, our bodies are still working hard to try to digest the food we ate the night before. And I swear I always say to Sean, I'm like, I feel like it only got down not even 3/4 of the way.
Point to the part in my stomach where it is. I'm it's right here right now.
Yeah. And it's the pressure. So when I get up and I exercise and I move, I just feel like it helps get things moving and moving fast, if you know what I'm saying. And it really alleviates that pressure I feel in my chest. So, and fun fact, in the Super Attractor book, Gabby highlights Abraham Hicks' teaching that when we sleep, we release resistance to negative thoughts and emotions.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? And that means when we wake up, we have a clean slate in front of us. It's just that opportunity to release the negativity from the day before and begin again. And that's why the first moments of the morning are so precious.
I like that a lot.
Right? So
clean slate every day.
Yes. So when you're going to bed and you're like, I just had the worst day ever. This is weighing on my heart or my mind. All resistance stops when you sleep. You turn it off and you can just rest in that. I feel like when I think about that, I just have a much more peaceful sleep visualizing that,
It's funny now that you say that, now that I've been getting into this stuff, I do find that I do wake up in the morning and the stress from the day before isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
It is, right? It is.
I'm not I don't wake up angry oh, this is going to be a really tough day because work was so hard yesterday and this is going to give me a problem. And I feel like if you start your day off like that, it's bound to be bad.
Right. It is. It's just all about looking for that peace, right? And starting with that. So here's a little quote.
Another
I'm
good
in
quote.
Lots of quotes in this episode. A Gabby quote. The way you start your day is the way your day will unfold, and your mood is your point of attraction. And I love that so much. And so for me, Gabby has these affirmations that I say every morning. And for any of you who have read Super Attractor, it's on page 19 in the book. I'm such a teacher.
You really are such a teacher.
I'm page 19 for anyone who's reading
Get
along.
your highlighter out.
So there's these affirmations, and I have the track where she says them. So sometimes in the morning, I'll listen to them while I drive.
You sent me one the other day.
How'd you like it?
I did like it a lot.
Yes. And she's Gabby's voice is so soothing.
It's so calming.
And sometimes she's got a little musical jam in the background. And she says it and I repeat it. And then I know I'm aligned and
get the
channeling
goosebumps
all over my whole body. And I know when I'm really feeling it, I feel the energy in my hands.
Yep.
My hands are such a
The other day when
point.
she ended it with, I love you. I was I love you too.
I know, me too. And then I go, okay, so can you see now? I do all this, right? And I get into school and, honestly, some of the teachers I work with, they look frustrated, sad, defeated. Yeah. And I come popping in like, I love myself.
That's the way to be.
Best morning. And no wonder I walk into school with high energy. It's because these things I do uplift me. And that's why it felt like it was so important to do an episode solely on this because it really sets the tone. So next Gabby tip for you. So how you start your morning is very important. And, I think just look at it. And maybe if you can just pick one thing to do. I know for me, I didn't just jump into all these things. I started slow, with some journaling in the morning or just waking up and saying thank you. Like I'm here, I'm breathing another day. My eyes are open. Like, thank you for this day, So little things to just change. So my next Gabby tip for you is something called the choose again method.
Okay.
Yes. So choose again. There are 3 steps. You can use this for anything. So step 1 is you notice the thought you're having. And usually it's a negative thought, right? Or something that's bothering you. Step 2 is to forgive the thought, and step 3 is to choose again. So, I feel like when you're dealing with chronic pain and difficult situations with your health, it can start to dominate your life and just feel like a tidal wave, and you feel like you're drowning, you can't breathe. Energy flows where your attention goes, and when it goes there, you give those feelings power and momentum. So it's just this momentum is going,
like a hamster wheel.
Yes. But it is when you choose to see the light in the dark corners of your pain, you redirect your power toward what you want and how you want to feel and to what is working. And I just love how this is just like simple. It's like, notice what you're having, forget that thought, forgive that thought, and redirect. It's just like quick, easy. Gabby is just so brilliant on how she like simplifies these things. So, even on days when I wake up with, let's say, those mornings with your esophagus having a spasm, those tremendous spasms that feels like you're having a heart attack, and nausea that like wants to take over, and I think I'm going to vomit everywhere.
That's the worst.
I'm frustrated that my esophagus is not working. I start to feel broken. Why can't I just wake up? I look over at Sean, snoring away, wakes up happy as can be. Nothing's spasming him over there except for his vocal cords or what he's snoring. His vocal cord, where does the snore come from? No, it's more your nose?
I don't know, actually. It's a good question.
Well, that'd be the only thing spasming for him. That snoring is really intense. So for me, I'm like, I feel broken, but there are things that are working, right? And Gabby says when you focus on what's thriving, you attract more of it. But it's a conscious effort to choose again.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Right? You have to be willing to do it and ready to do it. And it's okay if some days you're not. It's okay if you want to marinate in those negative feelings, that pain.
Yeah.
But you eventually have to choose again, You have to. You have to. Otherwise,
your days are going to suck.
Yeah, plain and simple. You don't want sucky days. So for me, I choose again, and I'm like, okay, well, my legs can move to walk, and I can go get the meds I need, right? So I get out of bed, I'm walking. And my heart is pumping blood through my body, thankfully, and my lungs are filling with air, and I can breathe. So it's the basic things that we take for granted because our body is amazing, and it just does these things on its own. So just looking at those simple things, for me, helps kind of shift things.
Yeah, I know for me, it's like, ooh, I swallowed all my pills today, and nothing got stuck.
Yes, right? It's like the little things.
Yeah.
And I think it shifts your attention off the pain and what is wrong, and it reminds you that you aren't broken. You are very much alive, and you will get past this tough moment. I'm going to say that again for anyone who's having a tough time. You are very much alive, and you will get past this tough moment.
Yes, you will.
Yes, you will. I found myself, oh my gosh, I always go back to this, which was a year ago, Rube. I found myself choosing it again 500 million times when I was in the hospital.
Yes.
It was a year ago. It was really June 2024. And it was more middle of June. It was after Connor's birthday, thankfully. I was admitted to the hospital. It was when I couldn't swallow anything, and not even my saliva. And the thoughts going through my mind were not good. They were dark. They were full of fear. Fear of my echolalia progressing, so much of my esophagus, could it be needing to be removed? It's a progressive disease, so you never know what's in store. I mean, it was fear that I would need a feeding tube, right? I know the direction this can go. I was worried that I couldn't get to work and I was out of sick days, which was very stressful. Thinking you're laying here in the hospital, will I be getting paid, if I can't report to work? So many things bubbled up and I let it and I cried hard.
Oh, you did.
Like a wild woman in the hospital.
Yeah, I almost pushed back my wedding for you.
That we were right before the wedding.
I was like, I can't have my wedding without my maid of honor.
And I'm like, I can't do this without an esophagus. But that was me doing Gabby's first step of noticing those thoughts.
Yep.
Do not push them down. That only makes them worse. Let them out. And I did. I know the nurse.
Yes, you did.
Like the nurses were like, she's unstable. She's unstable. Do we need a psych? Did we need to admit her to the psych ward?
Oh, man.
But then I did the second step of forgiving the dark thoughts I had. And these feelings revealed what I did not want to happen and then helped me to shift and gain clarity on how I wanted this all to go. And Gabby suggests saying, thank you for revealing to me what I don't want so that I can clarify what I do want. Isn't that so good?
I remember one of those days you called me from the hospital and you said, I want to be there for Connor and I'm going to be there for Connor.
Yes. And then I was, right? Because I decided.
You did.
And then after that, just saying that, thank you for revealing to me what I don't want so that I can clarify what I do want. Then step 3 is to choose again. This is my favorite part because this empowers you. This is when you ask yourself, what is the best feeling thought I can find right now? Gabby reminds us that you are reaching for the next best feeling. You are not requiring yourself to land on the ultimate solution. And I think that sometimes in our mind, it's like, I need a solution. I'm a problem solver. I want to fix it right now. You don't
have to fix everything.
No, but instead just soothe yourself and shift to something that's working, something that feels good. That night in the hospital when I shifted, I focused on the amazing nursing staff that were helping me, the doctors who were getting me answers, Sean for being by my side. You get the point. All of that kind of stuff. And then I distracted by my mind by watching something on TV that would make me laugh.
Yeah, see? Distractions are always a good thing.
Yes, and boom, shifting accomplished in that moment. The nurses on the ward did not think I had to go
to the psych ward
for a psychiatric testing. I reined it in. And this choose again method, you can literally use all throughout the day, every day, and in any situation that creates negative emotion. It doesn't just need to be with pain and chronic illness. And the more you do it and practice it, the easier it is to do. I find myself not even labeling that I'm doing it. It's just a habit now. It's a habit of how my brain works. I rewired my brain years ago to do it this way, and it feels good. And if I've learned anything over the years, it's this. Feeling good is our number one highest priority. And for those of us living with chronic illness, that can feel like climbing a mountain in flip-flops. And I laugh.
Gosh.
Especially when the physical pain is gnawing at you constantly. And I laugh because I do feel like I tried to climb a mountain in flip-flops one time in Oswego.
I think we all did that. Good old college days. Yep.
So I know how challenging that can be. But, even then we still have power. We can choose again. We can breathe. We can reach for a thought, a practice, a tiny spark of joy that shifts the energy just enough to keep going. And, that's where the healing lives. It's not in perfection, but it's in the choosing. It's in the softness. It's in showing up for ourselves over and over again and giving ourselves grace. Grace is huge. Be easy on yourself because you are doing the best that you can. And tell yourself that,
Yep.
And I think Gabby's work just reminds me that even on the hardest days, there's light. There's always a path back to peace, as she says. And even if it's paved with, heating pads, some hospital bracelets.
All those things.
All those fun things. And, I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. Room, I've watched you lean into Gabby's teachings. I'm so excited about it. Especially this past year, you're navigating IVF as you've been sharing. And I'm just bugging out over here every time you call me and tell me you had an aha moment after doing, the universe challenge we did or something in the book that you're reading. I'm really smiling. So Room, I'm passing it to you. Tell us all where you're at in your Gabby Bernstein journey.
Well, so for about 7 years, Lauren has been encouraging me to read a Gabby Bernstein book. In fact, I'm literally staring at my bookshelf right now and I see Happy Days sitting in front of me, and I've had that for a long time, and I have not picked it up to read it.
Yeah, you weren't ready yet.
And just as long, you've been gently nudging me to meditate. And I always brushed it off because meditation didn't seem to work for me. I First of all, I couldn't shut my brain off. Second of all, I was skeptical of diving into the whole universe has your back thing. Meanwhile, I was constantly anxious, overwhelmed, struggling with boundaries, and stuck in this loop of needing to control everything around me.
Yeah.
Then 3 years ago, I met Anthony. And for the first time, I let my guard down and I softened. I opened myself up to the idea that maybe the universe did have a plan for me. And I asked mentally and spiritually for someone kind and funny and patient and genuine. Someone completely different from the men I'd known in my past. And that's exactly what showed up.
It sure did. Manifestation in reality here.
And that stuck with me, but I still wasn't quite ready to dive in. A year into our relationship, Anthony proposed.
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, I was going to get married, something I never thought would happen. But with Anthony, I'd been manifesting that future all along without even realizing it. And as that vision took shape, something else shifted. My health started to improve. I had fewer flares, more food freedom, and generally felt stronger. And I didn't make the connection at first, but something inside me was clearly healing.
Yes, it was.
We got married on July 12th, 2024, and a week later went on our honeymoon, and it truly felt like everything that I dreamed of was coming to life. And physically, I still felt great. Around this time, we were also starting our journey to become parents. The year before our wedding, we learned that Anthony needed, and I never say this word right.
I don't even know. When I read our notes, I was like, what does that word say?
I'm just going to go for it. A varicella procedure.
Okay, great job, bro. Great job.
Which required 6 months of recovery before we could even try to conceive. So we had to have the procedure and then wait 6 months.
Okay.
And once we got the green light, we did start trying, but within 6 months, we knew something wasn't right. You know what I mean? Especially when you're of a certain age, they say when you're in your 20s and 30s, they say you try for a year. When you're older, it's try for 6 months.
Right. Yeah. And plus, like, you have to, you want to get this baby.
Right.
Right.
So that's when our fertility journey really began. And we had a failed IUI. We lost an M baby and went through multiple failed cycles. I was heartbroken and overwhelmed. And then my incredible neighbor, Deb, stepped in.
Hi, Deb. We love you.
She told me she was a Reiki master and she had a vision of us as parents. And she still tells me all the time. She's like, I just have this vision of you and Anthony pushing a baby carriage through the neighborhood. And she felt compelled to help. And I didn't know what to think, but I did my research and I decided to give it a try. I will, you know me, I'll try anything once.
Yes, yes.
After just 2 sessions of Reiki, I felt completely different. I was lighter. I was more peaceful. I felt like I could finally breathe without holding on to control so tightly. And around this time, we were preparing for another IVF cycle and things kept getting delayed. Like I had that persistent follicle that just wouldn't go away.
Right.
And I told Lauren that I'd heard Gabby on a podcast that I listened to, Girls Gotta Eat, my favorite podcast. And I liked what she had to say. And I mentioned that Gabby's had her universe challenge. And I said I was finally ready, but I didn't have the money for it. And then the next thing I know, Room Venmo'd me. And she said, Happy Mother's Day. So I signed up and that was it. By day 3 of the challenge, I was completely hooked.
And I'm over here like, yes, she's finally in.
Suddenly, meditation clicked for me. Like, turns out I just needed Reiki to open the door. When I described to Lauren what I was experiencing in my meditations, she was shocked because you said it usually takes people a long time to get to that level of clarity.
Yeah, it took me like years. You're like, after day 6, I did this. I'm like, what? Gabby, if you're listening, you'd be really impressed.
It was insane. But I was there within days. And the more I leaned into the challenge, the more I realized this was what I have been needing all along. I didn't have to live in fear, anxiety, or anger. I could let go. I could trust. And the peace that has followed since has been truly transformative. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, despite all those setbacks in May, I remained calm. And friends and family kept commenting and being like, okay,
you're right.
You just gave us bad news and you seem fine. And I was like, I am fine. I genuinely believed the universe wasn't saying no. It was just saying not yet. And one of the tools that actually helped me was I asked ChatGPT to write a story about my future self, a day based in the life of my future self. And I gave it a few things that I envisioned for myself in the future. And you read it. It wrote the most beautiful story.
Yes, it was so beautiful. It was like I was reading a book. Afterwards, I was crying. I'm like, and you're having twins.
I know. And it's just something that I cut and paste. I put it in a note. I shared it with Anthony. And like it's just kind of now been this vision that's guiding us. And the weird thing about it is now that it's out there, a few of those pieces have started like clicking into place.
That's the power of visualization.
Yeah.
When you did that, when you went through, how many key points, like, did you do a ton of key points for like what like goals or desires you guys had?
7 or 8.
Okay. And that was it. And you said, tell me if...
And it wrote almost like a fictional story. It was really...
I know. I read it. I was like crying after. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah. So now I keep... That story it's playing in my head every time I think, when I hit a setback, I picture that and I'm like, no, that's going to happen for me.
You're choosing again, Rome. Mm-hmm. You're choosing again.
So this past week, like I said in my roses, we had our egg retrieval and we got 11 eggs, which is 10 more than last time, and 6 fertilized with 1 more possibly catching up. That's huge progress in the world of IVF.
Like, who are you and what have you done with old staff?
Like, normally with attrition rates, you never get half of your eggs collected fertilized. That's just insane. Mm-hmm. So those weeks of delay gave my body time to heal, absorb the supplements, and integrate the emotional and spiritual work I was doing. When the doctor asked what I did differently, of course I said, I took the supplements, I changed my diet, but then I said Reiki and meditation, and he said, there it is. You focused on you, and that often gets lost in this journey.
It's crazy to think. And he even said to you, like he noticed a difference in just your overall...
It showed up in my charts.
Yeah, like not over your overall well-being is what I see, but he's looking at the scientific, like medical piece,
And now I'm so aware of signs from my spiritual guides as I look at my nails with like my golden path on them. It's wild. I even got Anthony to do an affirmation with me last night.
Okay, Anthony. I love this.
Because we received some really heavy and meaningful signs yesterday and that I felt we needed to honor and respect.
Yes.
So we both did a little affirmation last night, and it's become this beautiful grounding practice, and I truly believe it's helping both of us stay connected to the bigger picture. As much as Anthony's not physically doing this challenge with me, he's reaping the benefits of me doing this challenge.
Yeah, because honestly, you're just vibrating at a different level. And so many people, like even with you, Rome, I was like, I could tell you all I wanted to have you like get on this journey, but it was me just being me. And I feel like you were just kind of uplifting Anthony, and Anthony's learning through you and from you, right? It's just, I don't know if Sean's ever going to pick up on it though. So.
Come on, Sean.
I mean, he does his best.
So you know what? I wasn't able to do that fresh transfer this week, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It just means that my time wasn't last week, but I know it's coming. I finally feel like I'm walking in alignment. I'm still new to this journey, but I'm deeply grateful for where it's taken me already. And I love this. She actually said this in one of her meditations the other day. The whispers of the universe have become louder. So they've finally guided me to this path. Yes. And I'm nurturing a new relationship with myself, one that's grounded in trust and peace and knowing that the universe is guiding me toward exactly where I'm meant to be.
Yes. I'm having all the feels over here. All the feels. Rome, I'm so proud of you.
It really is life-changing. And everybody they do have to come to it on their own terms. If I didn't come to it at this point in my life, I don't know that I would have been so open to it. Everything unfolded as it needed to unfold for me.
Exactly. And I think it's sometimes in those moments of like we want it to happen on our timeline, and it's releasing the timeline and just trusting and knowing you're going to get there, but it may not look exactly as you envisioned, right? But know you're going to get to that destination. So, well, after hearing both of our perspectives, we encourage you to explore Gabby's website. And it's just just GabbyBernstein.com. And as Gabby says, when you tune into your intuition and truly listen, you'll always be guided to exactly what you need. So we both encourage you to take a moment to check in with yourself and trust whatever resources feel right for you. Maybe it's one of her books. Maybe she's got an amazing podcast. Maybe it's a podcast episode, a meditation, her miracle membership. When you go onto her site, you can put in your name and your email address, and she'll email you daily things. She's got a lot of free resources out there that you can access. Whatever you're drawn to, that's your inner guidance pointing the way.
Yes. Try one new thing this week. We encourage you to try one new thing this week and see what shifts for you. And if you do try something new, we would love to hear from you. You can email us at ivegotgutspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, you can. So thank you for listening. We, of course, really appreciate likes, follows, and reviews wherever you listen to your podcast.
And you can find us at I've Got Guts Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.